Do you want to grow as a grower? Are you tired of being put to sleep by your educational growcasts? Are you tired of hearing about products you don't fucking want and can't afford? Are you tired of being told how you should grow? Hi, I'm Johnny Apple, and joining me is everyone's favorite amphibian, the Reverend Pirate Frog. Join us as we sift through the bullshit on the internet and try to get better as growers. This is Your Average Grow.
Hey, dude.
Hey, man, what's up?
Hey, I've been meaning to ask you, how is that lab situation going on that you got?
It's going really good. Actually, today I just took the serum out, the rice wash. I separated those three parts, the center part, and I had enough. I put the entire batch into a gallon of milk today, and I have it covered with a paper towel and up in the cupboard.
Awesome. Now you get to watch the funs. You're going to see little pockets of air start forming in a top layer, and then you'll get a curd. It's awesome, man.
So how long, now what type of time? I expect it probably at least 2 days. It's probably going to be a day because I poured cold milk.
Yeah, so this is this is where it matters a lot where you're doing it, because you're getting basically the bacteria you're feeding the bacteria and getting them to create and multiply and create a whole colony, right? So if it's warm, it works quicker and stuff like that. But you'll start to notice probably in like 2 to 3 days. And I'd imagine it's still fairly warm there, isn't it?
My house is probably 65 on the daily.
Yeah, you'll be fine there. So I would notice. I would probably, check every day because you never know. But in 2 to 3 days, you'll start noticing it, and then I think in your situation, I think 4 days will probably be where we're at. But I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's quicker.
Okay,
but
so
if anybody has been following along, I know a few people have. If you are questioning it at all, reach out. A couple people have already reached out. I am honestly willing to answer questions constantly. I have nothing better to do. That's a lie, but don't tell my boss.
Right. So where do I go from here? So it's sitting up there, and then it curdles. Then
It
what?
doesn't. So the top becomes the curd, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the whey. I'm really high, so some of this technical terms might be off. But that top bit, you can either eat, throw away, as we've discussed, right? And then that serum, you're going to want to collect, right? And you want to strain the last bits out. Get all the, because it's inevitable. You'll break some bits that'll float in there and stuff. But you'll want to strain the serum. And then when you have the serum, however much you have left, or however much you end up with, then we will start talking about what you want to do. We can make bokashi. We can, what I think we'll do immediately is you can go with equal parts molasses, unsulfured molasses, or unrefined brown sugar works as well. I've always used molasses, but you can mix it together equal parts to make it last longer, right? And then that has created EM1 with that. So it's really about what application you really want to use it in. If you want to use it only as Drano replacement, you would not mix it with anything.
You took the words right out of my mouth. So literally, I'd be taking it out of the curd. I'd separate the whey, and that would literally go down the drain. That's the Drano. And then if I want to preserve that, or that's the labs at that point, that's your serum.
Yes.
And then to make EM1 to preserve it, that's when I add the molasses equal parts.
Yes.
And do I put it in the fridge at that point, make it last even longer?
Yes, you can. A lot of people keep it at room temperature, but I know that a lot of people like to drink it to help their gut bacteria, and because you can do that. So obviously refrigerate it in that case, or play on the wild card, dude. Go for it. I can't tell you how to live.
Now, what about plant purposes? How do I use this for plant beneficials?
Okay, so you can add it. I always add a tablespoon to my per gallon of water for my reservoir or uh, for soil drenches and stuff like that, and it's just good microbes, good bacteria to add.
Uh, EM1.
Same 1 tablespoon.
So you're going 1 tablespoon of labs or 1 tablespoon of EM1.
Yeah, just because it's easier that way for me.
Okay.
But yeah,
And then that gets mixed into the water, and then you just water a drench, soil drench, or do
so
you
all
foliar?
you can do that as well. But I use it because I add it to my. It's the only thing I add to the bottom watering in the earth boxes.
Okay. Do you foliar with it at all, and what are the benefits of it to foliar?
I have. I don't anymore because I mostly spray either IPM and then sprouted seeds. But the benefits are it's I mean it's a bacteria that I mean it for its purposes it with Drano specifically, right? So it'll break down organic material, but it's not like super. It don't you can put it on your skin. In fact, it is actually people use it for eczema. But there's a bunch of benefits in that it works well in the whole soil web, right?
So it's just an another added beneficial bacteria.
Exactly. That also
Very cool.
serves multi-purposes of being able to be a organic Drano. You can eat it. I don't know why you would eat that, but you could.
Gut health, you were saying.
Oh yeah, sorry, I got distracted. I was thinking about the curd or the whey. Again, way too high to be doing this.
Okay. I got you.
But I'm excited that we're here.
I am too, because it's led into other avenues of me exploring, wanting to try some other stuff, and I've recently tried my hand at making some leaf mold. And by recently, I mean
very
like
excited.
really recently.
I'm very excited. This is you teaching me how to be hippie because out here in Southern California, I do not have a property or we don't very much have trees that lose their leaves often.
So, and I get it.
Or seasons. We
Every
don't have
year.
seasons.
Yeah, you don't have anything for season even.
Yeah, so we don't have any of that luck. So I'm excited to hear about something that I can't do.
Well, every year this time of year since I've bought this house, I've said to myself, I have got to figure out something to do with the amount of leaves on this property. I eventually got myself one hell of a mower just to mow them into the yard. That way it's feeding back into the ground and not just killing my grass.
So that's awesome. So it's like is it a riding mower that also just shoots the like stuff right back into it?
Yep.
That's dope.
Yep. And then, so what I did is it's so powerful that whether they're wet or dry, I just keep mowing them over and mow them into a pile and then mow that pile and just shred it up into nothing.
Nice.
So I did that this time, and I had been hearing about this stuff called leaf mold. And I told my 2 teenage sons who are grounded for failing school that they're going to grab these big plastic bags and rake all those leaves into a pile and put them in those plastic bags and leave them for me. So they got me 4 bags worth of mowed leaves and grass. There's probably some grass clippings in there. I kept the deck kind of high so I wasn't getting too much grass and nitrogen, but either way, it's a fungal process that all goes in there, and then you wet the leaves down.
How often do you have to wet them?
When they're dry.
Okay,
So you go out there and you pick the bags up and stuff. I'm actually, because I have a freezing season, I'm going to take them and put them in my basement just so that they don't freeze and I can keep that happening.
That's awesome.
Because otherwise it's going to take 2 years potentially. So I'm going to bring them down to the basement so it can take a little bit because I've got the time, I've got the space. Why not?
Yeah.
Just to help keep
That's
them wet during
interesting.
that time, and as they dry up, break them down.
So I was reading briefly. I mean I know what leaf mold is. I don't want to play too dumb, but it's obviously not something that I would make myself. But I was reading about it, and I think the one interesting thing, like you said, and I want you to touch more on, is when you do it, you can do it outside just by itself. Just leave it in a corner, and it'll do its thing. But it takes 2 or so years, right?
Hmm.
But if you bring it inside, you can't. It's a funny thing because you can't necessarily speed it up that much faster.
No, but I can not halt the process that the freezing would do, because freezing is going to slow that bacteria down. So by bringing it inside into the atmosphere where that fungal growth isn't slowed down, I said bacteria, but I meant the fungal growth isn't slowed down by the freezing temps, it may continue that fungal growth, that fungal breakdown, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's what it's just really interesting. So you're gonna take them in the big bags, and then you put them in the basement,
Hmm.
and you kind of almost like with a plant, you go by water weight, or do you just go like I'll water it once every 2-3 months or more?
Yeah, I'll go by weight. I'll go in there and check on them every so often, and when they feel heavy, I'll put some more water on them.
No, that's awesome. So some of the benefits, I mean, other than just having awesome breakdown of fungus and having the residual effects there, apparently it helps with watering, right?
Yeah, you can dig it or till it into your garden bed to help improve your soil structure and your water retention. You can use it as like a mulch, kind of a top dress for your vegetable gardens. Some people you can use it as kind of a peat moss replacement.
Which is freaking amazing. And
I
so,
imagine if it's got that much. This is my first time trying it, so I haven't been successful. We're not going to know the results of
for a
my
while,
attempt at it for a year or two. But
but
I
you'll know.
imagine if it's got that much soil retention capability, that mixing it maybe with some cocoa might be the way to go on this one, because peat already has such a soil retention or a
Yeah,
moisture retention.
it'll
So
be it'll
I'm
be
really curious to see the texture on itself,
it'll
or
be it's
texture
a
comparatively.
oh, absolutely, and it'll be a slow burner, for sure for 2 years. But I mean, just the fact that you can do that so easily. All you have to do is reproduce. Have those kids fail school, and just send them out with a rake.
Isn't free labor great?
I was gonna say absolutely.
They would have
Well,
much rather been sitting there on their video game instead of making me leaf mold.
yeah. Well, they should have thought of that before they failed school.
Right on. Well, I've got one more thing I'd like to teach you how to hippie in another episode. I'd like to get you starting on a worm bin.
I know it's the one thing I promised my girl I would never put in their place, but maybe you can make it so that
Shoebox size wouldn't be terrible. I mean, your garden's not huge.
I mean,
Couple shoebox size,
if you
it might
can
be doable.
if you can make me an easier presentation for her, we're in hog heaven, brother.
Oh, what?
Never mind.
Was that some analogy from California I didn't understand?
Yes, California notorious for our pigs. No, I was saying that if you put together like a proposal that looks good and doesn't scare her, then I'm sure she'll buy it and I'll be happy.
So you're saying I need to sell her a ketchup popsicle while she's wearing her white gloves?
Amen.
Okay. For the layman's out there.
For the layman's, yeah. I appreciate no that it'll be very exciting. And I before we go on, I forgot to touch up on it. I know leaf mold is awesome, and it's great that you can make stuff from your own property. But I can't stress this enough. Don't go into the forest and collect leaf mold from underneath the trees. Please let the environment that has them keep them.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody starts rushing out to the wilderness and just robbing them of their nutrients, it's not a good thing.
Exactly. Let the fungus in the forest have the leaf mold in the forest.
Yeah, but the trees in my yard are a whole different ballgame.
Oh
They're
yeah,
getting
absolutely.
nourishment from everything I got going on. So if you got
Absolutely.
your own
If
trees, you know what you're doing. You're feeding. You got a full circle thing going on. That's what I'm trying to
exactly.
accomplish here. So that's a different
Exactly.
story. Yeah, don't go robbing nature of nature. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I like
Exactly.
that.
Raw. It's as simple as that. Best seen, not touched.
Yeah, not for human consumption.
Everything made in
Known.
California
I was gonna just say known to California to cause cancer.
cause cancer. So are free thought and ideas. Anywho, let's end it on our oppressionist.
And thank everyone for listening to it all. No, really, thanks
Absolutely.
everybody.
Thank you.
We appreciate you listening all the way to the end here, and even as we get silly, we really do. We really do appreciate everybody listening, and we want to see better for the environment and better for people. So,
Absolutely.
thanks.
Thank you for listening.
Peace. Peace.